Actionable Insights from Unlimited Memory, How to Use Advanced Learning Strategies to Learn Faster, Remember More and Be More Productive by Kevin Horsley. Summary and Analysis by Brevreds. Chapter 1, Introduction. Imagine if your brain was like a giant library filled with books of all the things you've learned, experienced, and remembered. Now, what if you could access any book at any time, flipping through the pages as easily as turning on a light switch? That's the magic of memory, and it's not just about recalling facts for a test or remembering where you left your backpack. Memory is the key that unlocks your potential. Kevin Horsley starts the book with an eye-opening thought. You can learn anything you need to learn to accomplish any goal that you set for yourself. This is a game changer. It means there are no limits to what you can achieve if you can remember what you learn. Memory isn't just for school, it's for life. Horsley shares a personal story that makes his point clear. As a child, he struggled with dyslexia and was told he might have brain damage. Can you imagine being told that? It sounds scary. But instead of allowing those words to define him, he decided to take control. He began reading books about memory techniques and applied them. One day, while he was walking through a bookstore, he discovered 3 books by Tony Buzan: Use Your Head, Use Your Memory, and the Speed Reading book. That was the moment his life changed. He learned that memory is a habit and can be improved with practice. From struggling to read books to memorizing the first digits of pi, Horsley went on to become a grandmaster of memory. If he can do it, so can you. The key is to understand how your brain works and to train it like a muscle. So, how can you start improving your memory today? Here are a few tips. Stay curious, ask questions about what you're learning. The more interested you are, the easier it will be to remember. Visualize. Create mental images of what you're learning. For instance, if you're learning about a famous person, picture their face and something unique about them. Practice, just like sports. The more you practice memory techniques, the better you get. Try memorizing a list of groceries using images or stories. One of the most inspiring parts of this chapter is the idea that memory is not just about recalling information, but about creating connections. When you remember something, you're building a bridge to that knowledge, allowing you to access it whenever you need. The key takeaway: your memory can be improved, and it's the foundation for all learning and achievement. Chapter 2, Now that you're pumped up about memory, let's dive into Chapter 2, where Horsley makes a provocative point. He asks, what excuses are you going to make for not using the information you learn? Boom, that's a question that hits home. We all create excuses, don't we? I'm too busy, I'm not smart enough, or I can't remember anything. These are just thoughts that hold us back. Horsley encourages you to take a hard look at those excuses. They are like little monsters lurking in the shadows, stopping you from reaching your potential. He states, you can have success or excuses, but you can't have both. Isn't that powerful? It's like having a choice between a shiny trophy and a pile of excuses. Which would you pick? To help you tackle these pesky excuses, Horsley suggests some steps. Write them down. Take a moment to write down your excuses. Seeing them on paper can help you realize how silly they are. Challenge them. Ask yourself if these excuses are true. For example, if you say, I don't have time, could you schedule just 10 minutes a day to practice memory techniques? Replace them with action. Instead of saying, I can't remember names, try, I will practice remembering names using the techniques I learned. Action beats excuses every time. Find your why. What's your reason for wanting to improve your memory? Write down a list of why it's important to you. As Darren Hardy says, we need why power, not willpower. Horsley shares a humorous story about a man who thought he was too old to learn new things. The man believed he couldn't improve his memory because he was just an old dog. But as Horsley points out, it's a good thing you're not a dog. You see, age doesn't define your ability to learn, it's your mindset that does. Lastly, he emphasizes the importance of concentration. If you want to learn and remember, you have to focus. Imagine trying to read a book while watching TV and scrolling through your phone at the same time. How much do you think you'd actually remember? Probably not much. So put away those distractions and give your full attention to what you're learning. The key takeaway: excuses are the barriers to your success. By challenging them and focusing on action, you can unlock your potential. Chapter 3, Never believe a lie. Have you ever heard someone say, I have a terrible memory? Or maybe you've thought it yourself. Kevin Horsley kicks off Chapter 3 with a powerful reminder: your beliefs about your memory can either limit you or set you free. This chapter dives into how our beliefs shape our abilities. If you think you can't remember, guess what? You probably won't. Horsley illustrates this with the story of two fish, one from a small pond and another from the vast ocean. The pond fish asks the ocean fish, "What is the sea?" The ocean fish explains that it's a huge body of water, but the pond fish refuses to believe it. Many people are like that pond fish, stuck in their limited view of what they can achieve. They don't even know how vast their potential really is. One of his key points is that beliefs are not necessarily truths. They are just thoughts we accept as true. If you believe you have a bad memory, you'll act like you have a bad memory. Instead, if you believe you're capable of improving, you will take steps to do so. Horsley shares a funny story about how he once thought he couldn't remember names. He felt embarrassed every time he met someone new. But after learning memory techniques, he transformed his belief. Now he confidently remembers names and even has his own tricks to help. So, how can you shift your beliefs about memory? Here are some actionable steps. Identify negative beliefs. Write down any negative thoughts you have about your memory. This could be something like, "I always forget names." Question your beliefs. Ask yourself, is this belief 100% true? Probably not. Most of the time, these negative beliefs are exaggerated. Create positive affirmations. Replace negative thoughts with positive ones. For example, change "I have a terrible memory" to "I am improving my memory every day." Visualize success. Picture yourself remembering names, facts, or information easily. Use your imagination to create a vivid mental image of success. Practice, practice, practice. The more you use memory techniques, the more confident you'll become. Start small. Try remembering a grocery list or the names of your classmates. One of the most interesting quotes in this chapter is from Arnold Schwarzenegger: "The mind is the limit." As long as the mind can envision the fact that you can do something, you can do it. This quote is a reminder that your mind holds the key to unlocking your potential. The key takeaway: your beliefs about your memory influence your ability. Challenge negative thoughts and replace them with empowering beliefs to enhance your memory. Chapter 4, Be Here Now. In Chapter 4, Horsley takes the idea of empowering beliefs and focuses on the importance of concentration. He opens with a quote from Alexander Graham Bell: "Concentrate all your thoughts on the task at hand. The sun's rays do not burn until brought to a focus." This sets the stage for understanding how crucial concentration is for memory improvement. Horsley paints a picture. You wake up to a loud alarm clock, check your phone, rush through your morning routine, and then head to school or work. During your day, your attention is pulled in a million directions: TV, social media, friends chatting, and more. Sound familiar? With so many distractions, it's no wonder that focusing can feel impossible. He explains that concentration is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. Imagine if you had an Olympic athlete representing your attention. Would they be able to compete? Probably not, if you haven't trained them. Concentration takes practice and effort. One of Horsley's key strategies for improving concentration is to eliminate multitasking. He shares a story about a lioness hunting in the wild. She doesn't chase two prey at once. She focuses on one target to succeed. Just like the lioness, you can't do your best work if you're trying to juggle multiple tasks at once. Here are some specific steps to improve your concentration. Create a distraction-free zone. Find a quiet place to study or work. Turn off your phone notifications and close unnecessary tabs on your computer. Set clear goals. Before you begin a task, set a specific goal. For example, I will read 2 chapters of my book in the next hour. Use the Pomodoro technique. Work for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. Repeat this cycle, and after 4 rounds, take a longer break. This helps maintain focus without burnout. Practice mindfulness. Spend a few minutes each day focusing on your breathing. This trains your brain to pay attention and reduces stress. Limit information overload. Focus on one piece of information at a time. Instead of trying to learn everything about a subject at once, break it down into smaller parts. Horsley emphasizes the importance of being present. He encourages you to be here now. This means paying full attention to whatever you are doing at the moment, whether it's studying, listening to a friend, or even enjoying a meal. He shares an amusing anecdote about how many people fill their lives with noise and distractions, constantly needing something to occupy their minds. He cites Blaise Pascal, who said, "All man's miseries derive from not being able to sit quietly in a room alone." This highlights how many people struggle to simply be present with their thoughts. The key takeaway: concentration is a skill that can be improved with practice. Eliminate distractions and focus on being present in the moment to enhance your memory and learning. Chapter 5: Bring information to life. Have you ever read something and thought, "I'll remember this," only to forget it moments later? It's frustrating, right? In Chapter 5, Kevin Horsley dives into the importance of making information come alive in your mind. He believes that when information is vivid and engaging, it sticks with you much better. It's like turning a boring black and white movie into a colorful blockbuster. Horsley opens with a powerful idea: your mind is the greatest home entertainment center ever created. Imagine that. Your brain can create movies, complete with sound and action, if you let it. The first step to making information memorable is to use your imagination. For example, when you're learning about a historical figure, instead of just reading their name and dates, visualize them. Picture them in a colorful setting, maybe wearing a silly hat or riding a unicorn. This is not only more fun, but also helps your brain associate the information with strong images, making it easier to remember. Horsley introduces the C principle to help you bring information to life. Senses. Engage all your senses. When you learn something new, think about how it looks, sounds, smells, and feels. If you're learning about a fruit, imagine the bright colors, the sweet smell, and the juicy taste. Exaggeration. Make your images larger than life. If you're trying to remember a giant elephant, picture it wearing oversized glasses and balancing on a beach ball. The sillier, the better. Exaggerated images are more memorable. Energize. Add some action. Instead of just thinking about a tree, imagine it dancing in the wind or growing rapidly before your eyes. Action creates excitement, and excitement helps with memory. Horsley shares a relatable story about how he struggled to remember a list of groceries. He was tired of rote memorization, so he decided to visualize each item in a creative way. For example, he pictured a giant loaf of bread doing the cha-cha. By making each item lively and fun, he remembered the entire list without a hitch. Implementing the C principle. So, how can you apply this principle to your own learning? Here are some steps you can take. Choose your material. Pick something you want to remember, like vocabulary words or historical facts. Create vivid images. For each item, create a colorful and exaggerated image. If you're learning the word ocean, picture a massive wave splashing over you while wearing a snorkeling mask. Engage your senses. Think about how it feels to be in that ocean. Can you feel the cool water? Hear the waves crashing? Add action. Make your images dynamic. Imagine that wave not just splashing but also dancing around you like a friendly sea creature. Practice. Review your images regularly. The more you visualize, the stronger the connections become in your memory. By using these strategies, you'll find that information will stick with you much more easily. You'll transform dull facts into exciting adventures in your mind. The key takeaway: use vivid imagery, engage your senses, and bring information to life to enhance your memory. Chapter 6: Use your car to remember. In Chapter 6, Horsley introduces a creative and practical method for remembering information using something we all know well: our cars. He calls this the car method, and it's a fun way to store and recall information based on familiar places. Imagine your car as a mobile storage unit for your memory. The beauty of this method is that it makes use of long-term memories associated with your car, making it easier to remember new information. Think of your car as a treasure chest, where each part represents something you want to remember. Horsley describes how to set up your car method step by step. Visualize your car, picture your car in your mind. It could be your actual car or a dream car, it doesn't matter. The important thing is to have a clear image. Assign items to different parts, choose different areas of your car to store information. For example, front grille. Use this space for the first item you need to remember. Dashboard, store the second item here. Back seat, put the third item in the back seat. Trunk, use the trunk for the fourth item. Make it silly and memorable, just like with the C principle. Make your images exaggerated and fun. If you need to remember a list of groceries, imagine a giant apple wedged in the front grille and a loaf of bread sitting on the dashboard, wearing sunglasses. Walk through your car, mentally take a trip through your car, recalling each item as you go. This creates a mental route that your mind can follow, helping you remember everything clearly. Horsley shares an anecdote about how he once memorized a list of countries and their capitals using this method. He visualized each capital in different parts of his car. For instance, he imagined Canada's capital, Ottawa, sitting in the back seat, wearing a maple leaf costume. The sillier the image, the easier it was to recall. Implementing the CAR method. Here's how you can apply the CAR method to your own learning. Choose the information, decide on a list or a set of facts you want to memorize. Visualize your car, picture your car and its various parts. Assign information, place items from your list in specific parts of your car. Make sure to use imaginative and exaggerated visuals for each item. Practice remembering. Take a mental drive through your car, recalling each item as you go. Do this several times to reinforce the connections. Review regularly. Just like any good driver checks their mirrors, review your mental car regularly to keep the information fresh in your mind. This method is not only effective but also a lot of fun. You'll find yourself laughing as you picture silly scenarios, which makes remembering a breeze. The key takeaway: use the CAR method to visualize and store information in familiar places, making it easier to recall when you need it. Sure. Here's a lively retelling of chapters 7 and 8 from Unlimited Memory by Kevin Horsley, focusing on the main ideas, interesting anecdotes, and actionable strategies for improving memory. Chapter 7. Use your body to remember. In Chapter 7, Kevin Horsley introduces a unique and engaging memory technique, using your own body. Yes, you heard that right. Your body can be a powerful tool for remembering information. This method is called the body method, and it's all about associating different parts of your body with specific information you want to memorize. Horsley kicks things off by saying, your body is another great long-term storage compartment. The idea here is to use the parts of your body as locations to store bits of information, similar to how you used your car in the previous chapter. This method taps into the fact that we all know our bodies very well, making it easy to visualize and remember. Setting up the body method. To use the body method effectively, follow these fun steps. Choose your information, decide what you need to remember, a list of facts, vocabulary words, or any other information. Assign information to body parts, pick specific parts of your body to represent different pieces of information. For example, feet, the first item on your list. Knees, the second item. Thighs, the third item. Hips, the fourth item. Stomach, the fifth item. Hands, the sixth item. Head, the seventh item. Create vivid imagery. Make the images silly or exaggerated. For example, if you're trying to remember that apples are your first item, imagine standing on a giant apple that's bouncing up and down. If your second item is bananas, picture a huge banana sitting on your knees, ready to slide off. Review your body list. Go through your list by visualizing each item on its assigned body part. This mental journey helps reinforce the connections. Why this works. Horsley explains that using your body helps you create strong associations. When you visualize the information in a funny or exaggerated way, it makes it more memorable. He shares a humorous story about how he once used this method to memorize a list of random words. He imagined a party happening on his thighs, where everyone was dancing with huge bananas. The sillier the scenario, the easier it was for him to recall the words. He emphasizes that the more you involve your body and senses, the more effective your memory becomes. This technique not only makes remembering fun, but also helps you engage with the material more deeply. Here's an example of how to implement the body method. Let's say you need to remember the following words: cat, dog, house, and car. Assign them. Feet, cat. Knees, dog. Thighs, house. Hips, car. Visualize these scenarios and review them regularly. This method can be incredibly useful when you have to memorize lists for school, study for tests, or even remember important information for a presentation. The key takeaway: use your body as a memory map, assigning information to different parts and creating vivid, silly images to make it stick. Chapter 8. Pegging information down. In Chapter 8, Horsley introduces another powerful memory technique called the peg method. This method helps you remember lists of information using a rhyming peg system. It's like having a mental toolbox where you can store and recall things with ease. Horsley starts by explaining that the PEG method is all about creating associations between new information and a pre-established list of pegs you already know. Think of pegs as hooks where you can hang your memories. When you need to recall something, you just follow the hooks back to the information you stored. Setting up the PEG method. Here's how to set up and use the PEG method. Create a list of pegs. Start with a simple list of rhyming words that correspond to numbers. For example, 1 bun, 2 shoe, 3 tree, 4 door, 5 hive, 6 sticks, 7 heaven, 8 gate, 9 vine, 10 hen. Associate new information with pegs. Now, when you need to remember a new list, you simply link each item to the peg. For example, suppose you want to remember the following items: love, gratitude, curiosity, excitement, and determination. 1. Picture a warm bun shaped like a heart to represent love. 2. Imagine a shoe filled with gratitude notes for gratitude. 3. Visualize a tree with curious cats climbing its branches for curiosity. 4. Picture an excited person bursting through a door for excitement. 5. Imagine determined bees working hard in a hive. Visualize the links, make the images silly and vivid. The more outrageous the images, the more likely you are to remember them. Review and recall. When you need to recall the information, just think of the pegs and what you associated with each one. This creates a clear path to follow in your mind. Why this works. Horsley shares that the PEG method works because it leverages the brain's natural ability to remember visual and associative information. The examples he provides are both creative and memorable. He tells a story about how he once memorized the emotions of power using pegs, and how the sillier the image, the easier it was to recall later. He emphasizes, memorization is not about rote learning, it's about creating connections. By transforming abstract concepts into vivid images, you can build a network of memories that are easy to access. Here's a brief example of how to implement the PEG method with a new set of items, like fruits. Items to remember: apple, banana, cherry, date, and elderberry. Assign to pegs. 1. Visualize a giant apple bun. 2. Imagine a banana slipping into a shoe. 3. Picture a cherry tree bursting with big cherries. 4. Envision a door opening to a pile of dates. 5. Imagine a hive filled with buzzing elderberries. Review your list. Visualize the pegs and their associations to reinforce your memory. The PEG method is versatile and can be applied to anything you need to remember, whether it's vocabulary words, lists for school, or even steps in a process. The key takeaway: use the PEG method to create strong visual associations with familiar pegs, making it easier to remember and recall information. Chapter 9. In the first place. In Chapter 9, Kevin Horsley introduces us to the journey method, a powerful technique for remembering lists and information by associating items with specific locations along a familiar route. Imagine you could memorize everything you need by just taking a mental stroll through a place you know well. That's the essence of the journey method. Horsley begins by inviting readers to prepare their minds for this exciting journey. He says, "Whatever you think about, that's what you remember. Memory is the residue of thought." This quote emphasizes how our thoughts shape what we remember. If you can create a vivid mental journey, you'll be able to recall information effortlessly. Setting up the journey method. Here's how to implement the journey method step by step. Choose a familiar route. Pick a place you know well. This could be your home, school, or even a route you walk to the bus stop. The important thing is that you can visualize it clearly in your mind. Identify distinct locations. Break down your route into specific locations or markers. For example, if you choose your home, these could be the front door, living room, kitchen, and so on. Assign information to each location. Now, when you have a list of things to remember, assign each item to one of the locations. For example, if you need to remember a grocery list: milk, eggs, bread, and fruit, imagine. Front door: a giant milk carton waiting to be let in. Living room: eggs bouncing around like basketballs on your couch. Kitchen: a loaf of bread wearing a chef's hat and cooking. Dining table: a fruit bowl overflowing with colorful fruits, dancing around. Visualize the journey. Take a mental walk through your route, stopping at each location and recalling the item associated with it. The sillier and more vivid your images, the better. Review regularly. Just like any good traveler checks their map, review your journey often to keep the information fresh in your mind. Horsley shares a delightful story about a time he needed to memorize a list of countries and their capitals. He used his own home as the journey, associating each room with a different country. For instance, he imagined his kitchen filled with pancakes to represent Canada and a sushi roll in the living room for Japan. The more outrageous his imagery, the easier it was to remember. One of the standout points in this chapter is how powerful visualization can be. When you create a story or journey in your mind, you're not just memorizing, you're engaging with the information in a way that makes it stick. The key takeaway: use the journey method to create a mental path for recalling information by associating items with specific locations along a familiar route. Chapter 10: Linking Thoughts. In Chapter 10, Horsley dives into the fascinating world of linking thoughts, a method that allows you to connect new information with what you already know. This technique is all about creating associations that make it easier to remember things. Horsley kicks off this chapter by affirming, "No memory is ever alone." It's at the end of a trail of memories, a dozen trails that each have their own associations. This highlights the importance of connections in our memory. When you learn something new, you're not just adding to your brain, you're building a network of memories. Setting up the linking technique. Here's how to effectively use the linking method. Identify new information. Choose the new information you want to remember. This could be anything from a list of historical events to vocabulary words. Create a story. Connect the new information into a narrative or story. For example, if you need to remember the first 5 presidents of the United States, you might create a silly story. Picture George Washington washing a tin can. Then, imagine that can magically grows an Adam's apple. Next, envision a chef cooking with a Jefferson. Then, see a medicine bottle labeled Madison on the table. Finally, picture Marilyn Monroe doing a dance in the corner of the kitchen. Use the C principle, make your story vivid by using the senses, exaggeration, and action. The more ridiculous and colorful your story, the easier it will be to recall. Review your story, go through your story a few times, visualizing each part clearly. This cements the information in your memory. Horsley shares an entertaining anecdote about how he once memorized the order of the planets using a linking story. He imagined each planet doing something silly, like Mars wearing a party hat and dancing at a disco. The sillier the images, the easier it was to remember the order of the planets. One of the most compelling aspects of this chapter is how linking thoughts transforms learning into a creative and enjoyable experience. It's not just about memorizing, it's about storytelling, which engages your imagination and makes the information more relatable. The key takeaway: use linking thoughts to create stories that connect new information with what you already know, making it easier to remember and recall. Chapter 11: The Power of Emotions. In Chapter 11, Kevin Horsley dives into a powerful force that can supercharge your memory: emotions. He believes that emotions are like the secret sauce for making information stick in your brain. Think about it. Do you remember the happiest moment of your life? Or maybe a time you felt really scared? Those memories are often clearer than mundane facts because they are tied to strong feelings. Horsley starts the chapter with an impactful statement: "Emotions are the glue that binds memories together." This highlights how our emotional experiences shape our memories. If you want to remember something, connecting it to an emotion can make it much more memorable. How to use emotions for memory. Horsley provides several strategies for using emotions to enhance your memory. Connect new information to personal experiences. When you learn something new, try to relate it to an experience that stirred your emotions. For example, if you're studying history and learn about an important event, think about how it might have made people feel. If you're learning about the signing of the Declaration of Independence, imagine the excitement and hope the signers felt at that moment. Create emotional images. When you are trying to memorize a list or concept, create vivid images that evoke strong emotions. If you're trying to remember the word freedom, picture a bird soaring high in the sky, feeling the wind beneath its wings. That image can evoke a sense of joy and liberation, making it easier to recall later. Use humor. Laughter can also be an effective emotional trigger. If you can make a concept or fact funny, you're more likely to remember it. For instance, if you need to remember that the capital of France is Paris, visualize a giant Eiffel Tower wearing a goofy hat and dancing around. The sillier, the better. Engage with stories. Stories are powerful memory tools. especially when they evoke emotion. When studying, try to turn information into a story that has a beginning, middle, and end. This narrative format can help you remember the details much better than if you just memorize them. Horsley shares a personal story about how he once needed to remember a list of tasks for the day. Instead of writing them down, he turned them into an emotional story about a superhero saving the day. Each task became a heroic deed, which made it much easier to remember. He emphasizes that, when you can feel it, you can remember it. This chapter is all about harnessing the emotional power to create stronger, more lasting memories. The key takeaway: emotions enhance memory retention. Connect new information to personal experiences, create emotional images, use humor, and engage with stories to make memories stick. Chapter 12: The Memory Palace. In Chapter 12, Horsley introduces one of the most famous memory techniques, the memory palace. This technique is a fantastic way to remember large amounts of information by visualizing a familiar place and associating items with different locations within it. Horsley begins this chapter with a quote that captures the essence of the memory palace. A memory palace is a powerful mental construct that allows you to navigate your mind like a well-organized library. Imagine being able to walk through a palace filled with knowledge, where each room represents a different topic or concept. Setting up your memory palace. Here's how to create and use your own memory palace. Choose your palace, pick a location you know well. This could be your home, school, or even a favorite park. The more familiar you are with the space, the easier it will be to visualize. Identify specific locations, break the palace into distinct areas or rooms. For instance, in your home, you might have the living room, kitchen, bathroom, and bedrooms. Each of these rooms will be a separate location for storing information. Assign information to each location. Once you have your palace set up, start placing information in each room. For example, if you want to remember a grocery list, you might visualize: living room, a giant loaf of bread sitting on the couch; kitchen, a fridge overflowing with apples; bathroom, a tub full of milk; bedroom, eggs bouncing on your bed. Visualize your journey. Take a mental walk through your memory palace, stopping at each location to recall the items associated with it. The more vivid and ridiculous your images, the better they will stick. Review and practice. Regularly revisit your memory palace to reinforce the connections. The more you walk through it in your mind, the stronger your memory will become. Horsley shares a fascinating story about how ancient Greeks and Romans used the memory palace technique to memorize speeches and long texts. They would visualize their homes and associate different parts with the content they needed to remember. This technique was so effective that it helped them impress audiences and excel in their fields. One of the most powerful aspects of the memory palace is that it leverages spatial memory. Our brains are wired to remember locations and visual cues. When you create a mental space filled with images, you're making it easier to retrieve information later. The key takeaway: create a memory palace by associating information with specific locations in a familiar place, allowing you to visualize and recall large amounts of information effectively. Chapter 13: The Importance of Practice. In Chapter 13, Kevin Horsley emphasizes a crucial element of memory improvement: practice. He begins with an inspiring quote: "Practice is the mother of all skills." Just like learning to ride a bike or play a musical instrument, memory techniques require practice to become effective. If you want to be a master of memory, you have to put in the time and effort. Horsley discusses how many people give up on memory techniques too quickly. They might try a new strategy, find it challenging, and then abandon it entirely. However, he encourages readers to think of practice as a journey. The more you practice, the more skilled you become. Steps to effective practice. Here are some actionable steps to help you incorporate practice into your memory improvement efforts. Set clear goals. Decide what you want to achieve with your memory skills. Maybe it's memorizing vocabulary for an upcoming test or learning names for a new class. Having a clear goal provides direction for your practice. Create a practice schedule. Just like training for a sport, set aside dedicated time for memory practice. This could be 15-30 minutes each day. Consistency is key. Use a variety of techniques. Don't stick to just one method. Experiment with different techniques, like the memory palace, linking, or the body method. Mixing things up keeps practice engaging and helps reinforce your learning. Track your progress. Keep a journal or log of your practice sessions. Write down what techniques you used, what worked well, and what didn't. This reflection will help you improve over time. Review regularly. Revisit the information you've learned regularly to prevent forgetting. Use techniques like spaced repetition, where you gradually increase the time between reviews to strengthen your memory. Horsley shares an anecdote about a student who was struggling to remember numbers for a math test. Instead of giving up, the student committed to practicing the techniques daily. Over time, the student became confident and excelled in math. This story illustrates that persistence pays off. One of the essential messages in this chapter is that anyone can improve their memory with dedication and practice. It's not just for naturals. If you keep at it, you will see results. The key takeaway: practice is essential for improving memory skills. Set goals, create a schedule, use various techniques, track your progress, and review regularly. Chapter 14. The Power of a Positive Mindset. In Chapter 14, Horsley explores the connection between a positive mindset and memory performance. He starts with a powerful quote: "Your brain believes what you tell it." This means that if you believe you can improve your memory, you are more likely to succeed. On the flip side, negative thoughts can hold you back. Horsley emphasizes that the way you approach memory challenges can significantly impact your ability to learn and remember. A positive attitude can create a sense of confidence and motivation, while a negative attitude can lead to anxiety and self-doubt. Strategies for cultivating a positive mindset. Here are some practical steps to foster a positive mindset towards your memory skills. Affirmations. Create positive affirmations related to your memory. For example, say to yourself, "I have a great memory, and I can learn anything I set my mind to." Repeat these affirmations daily to reinforce your belief in your abilities. Visualize success. Spend a few moments visualizing yourself successfully using memory techniques. Picture yourself recalling information effortlessly during a test or presentation. This mental practice can boost your confidence. Surround yourself with positivity. Engage with people who encourage and support you. Avoid negative influences that discourage your memory efforts. Join study groups or find friends who share similar goals. Learn from mistakes. Instead of viewing mistakes as failures, see them as opportunities to grow. Reflect on what went wrong, adjust your approach, and try again. This mindset shift is crucial for improvement. Celebrate your successes. No matter how small, celebrate your achievements. Did you remember all the items on your grocery list? Great. Did you ace that quiz? Awesome. Recognizing your progress boosts motivation. Horsley shares a humorous story about how he once convinced himself he had a terrible memory. He would panic before tests and forget everything he studied. Once he turned his mindset around and began using positive affirmations, he found that his memory improved dramatically. This story illustrates the power of belief in influencing performance. One of the most powerful takeaways from this chapter is that a positive mindset can create a ripple effect, enhancing not just memory but overall learning and performance. The key takeaway: cultivating a positive mindset is essential for improving memory. Use affirmations, visualize success, surround yourself with positivity, learn from mistakes, and celebrate your achievements. Chapter 15. Unlocking your memory potential. In Chapter 15, Kevin Horsley dives into the idea of unlocking your full memory potential. He believes that everyone has the ability to improve their memory, but often, they need a little push to tap into it. He begins this chapter with an uplifting thought: your memory is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Just like lifting weights, exercising your memory can lead to impressive results. Horsley sets the stage by discussing how many people underestimate their memory capabilities. They might think, "I'm just not good at remembering things," and accept that as their reality. But he challenges this mindset, encouraging readers to realize that memory improvement is within everyone's reach. Strategies to unlock your memory. Here are some strategies to help you unlock your memory potential. Believe in your ability. The first step to improving your memory is to believe that you can. Change your inner dialogue from "I can't remember" to "I can learn to remember." This shift in mindset is crucial for progress. Engage in mental exercises. Just like physical workouts, mental exercises can help strengthen your memory. Try puzzles, brain teasers, or memory games. For instance, challenge yourself to memorize a deck of cards or a list of words. Use memory techniques. Experiment with different memory techniques like the memory palace, linking, and the body method. The more you practice these techniques, the more natural they will become. Stay curious. Cultivate a sense of curiosity about the world around you. When you approach learning with excitement and interest, you'll find it easier to remember information. Think of new things you want to learn about, whether it's science, history, or a new hobby. Stay healthy. Take care of your body to support your brain. Eat a balanced diet, exercise regularly, and get plenty of sleep. Proper nutrition and rest are vital for optimal brain function. Horsley shares an inspiring story about a woman named Sarah, who believed she had a terrible memory. After attending a memory workshop, she learned to use various techniques and practiced diligently. Over time, her confidence grew, and she became a memory champion. This story illustrates that with the right mindset and effort, anyone can achieve remarkable memory improvements. He emphasizes that unlocking your memory potential is a journey, not a destination. It requires ongoing effort and practice, but the rewards are worth it. The key takeaway: everyone has the potential to improve their memory. Believe in your abilities, engage in mental exercises, use memory techniques, stay curious, and maintain a healthy lifestyle. Chapter 16: Memory Techniques for Success. In Chapter 16, Horsley wraps up his exploration of memory improvement by discussing specific memory techniques that can lead to success in various areas of life. He emphasizes that the right techniques can help you remember what you need for school, work, and daily activities, ultimately leading to greater achievements. Horsley begins with an empowering quote: "Success is the result of preparation and memory." He believes that by mastering memory techniques, you can effectively prepare for any challenge you face, whether it's a test, a presentation, or even a conversation. Effective memory techniques. Here are some effective memory techniques that can help you achieve success. The chunking method: instead of trying to remember long strings of information, break it down into smaller, manageable chunks. For example, when trying to memorize a phone number, it's easier to remember it as 3 groups rather than a single long number. Visualization and imagination. Use your imagination to create vivid mental images of the information you want to remember. The more colorful and outrageous the images, the better. If you need to remember a list of items, visualize each one interacting in a funny or interesting way. Teach what you learn. One of the best ways to solidify your memory is to teach the information to someone else. When you explain a concept, you reinforce your understanding and recall. Try teaching a friend, or even explaining it to an imaginary audience. Connect to emotions. As discussed in earlier chapters, emotions play a significant role in memory retention. Connect what you're learning to personal experiences or feelings. This emotional tie will help anchor the information in your memory. Use mnemonics. Create acronyms or phrases to help remember lists or sequences. For example, to remember the order of operations in math, you might use the phrase, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." Horsley shares a humorous anecdote about a time he had to memorize a long list of things for a presentation. Instead of stressing out, he used the chunking method and visualization to create funny mental images for each item. He imagined a dancing pencil, a singing notebook, and a juggling eraser. This creative approach not only made memorization enjoyable, but also helped him succeed in his presentation. He concludes that the key to success lies in your ability to remember and apply what you learn. By utilizing these techniques, you can enhance your performance in school, work, and beyond. The key takeaway: successful memory techniques include chunking, visualization, teaching, connecting to emotions, and using mnemonics to enhance learning and achievement. Final thoughts. As we reach the end of our memory journey through unlimited memory, it's clear that the power of memory is not just a mystical gift reserved for a select few. It's a skill that anyone can develop with the right techniques and a positive mindset. Kevin Horsley has opened the door to a treasure chest of memory techniques that, when practiced, can transform the way we learn, recall, and apply information in our everyday lives. Throughout the chapters, Horsley has shared a variety of strategies that can make memorization not only effective, but also enjoyable. Remember the memory palace? It's like having a magical house in your mind, where each room holds a special piece of information just waiting to be remembered. Imagine walking through your own palace, where a giant loaf of bread sits on your couch to remind you of your grocery list, or a dancing pencil performs in your living room for a school presentation. This technique illustrates how visualization and creativity can turn memory work into a fun adventure. Another powerful tool is chunking, which helps break down complex information into bite-sized pieces. For example, if you ever need to memorize a long string of numbers, try grouping them into smaller sections. Just like breaking a long school assignment into manageable steps, chunking simplifies the process and makes it less overwhelming. Think of how phone numbers are structured. Instead of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0, it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0. Easy, right? Horsley also emphasizes the importance of emotions in memory retention. Did you know that connecting what you learn with personal experiences or feelings can make it stick better? When you're studying, try to relate the material to something that excites you or makes you laugh. If you're learning about a historical figure, imagine them in a humorous situation that makes you smile. Suddenly, that figure is not just a name in a textbook but a character in your own story. As we've learned, practice is the key to unlocking your memory potential. Just like training for a sport or practicing an instrument, memorization requires regular effort. Set aside time each day to practice memory techniques, whether it's through games, quizzes, or simply reviewing what you've learned. Keep a journal of your progress and celebrate your successes, no matter how small. Every little victory builds your confidence. And let's not forget the power of a positive mindset. Remember the quote, "Your brain believes what you tell it"? This means that if you approach memory challenges with confidence and determination, you're more likely to succeed. Affirmations can be a great way to boost your belief in your abilities. Try saying, "I have a fantastic memory, and I can learn anything I set my mind to." Repeat this daily and watch how it influences your learning experience. Horsley's anecdotes throughout the book are both engaging and relatable, whether it's about the student who transformed their memory skills or the amusing stories of memory competitions. These examples serve to inspire and motivate. They remind us that memory improvement is a journey filled with ups and downs, and that perseverance can lead to remarkable results. Incorporating these techniques into your daily life can lead to improved academic performance, enhanced communication skills, and a greater ability to retain knowledge for future use. Whether you're trying to remember names at a party, ace a test, or simply keep track of your to-do list, applying these memory strategies will serve you well. So, as you step away from this book, remember that your memory is a tool you can sharpen and refine. Embrace the techniques you've learned, share them with friends, and make memory improvement an exciting part of your life's adventure. The world is full of knowledge just waiting to be discovered, and with your newly honed memory skills, there's no limit to what you can achieve. The final takeaway: your memory is a skill that can be developed with practice, creativity, and a positive mindset. Use the techniques from this book to unlock your full potential and embark on a lifelong journey of learning and discovery.